We are back. Hey, everybody. It is Michelle Cohan
Hi, everyone.
and Robert Greenblatt here. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're jumping on for a couple of minutes because we were talking and we want to share with you some thoughts about respecting property, right? Think about this. We were talking about this on a team call the other day. You know, we are getting into people's most intimate spaces, right? Aren't our homes our most intimate spaces?
Mhm.
Yeah. So we talk about we've experienced so many different things in this business. So we have 5 things for you today, 5 thoughts about respecting other people's property when we are touring homes. And it's from a couple of different perspectives. Please make sure to stay to point 5 because point 5 is a little interesting, a little disturbing, but important. It's important too. So first thing we came up with was, hey, has to do with keys. So if you're a real estate agent, what's important to know about that, Michelle?
To me, it seems redundant, but you have to put in the directions. Please place the keys back in the lockbox. Because what happens if you don't?
Yeah,
Nobody else can get in.
exactly.
So that's huge.
And I'll add on to that from a security standpoint. It would seem like a no-brainer, but agents unfortunately often overlook this. If it's a mechanical lockbox, scramble the code.
Correct.
A lot of these lockboxes don't lock automatically. The code needs to be scrambled on a lot of these. So really, really important because that certainly has to do with respecting property. I've walked up to homes where the lock boxes were not locked, where the keys were actually still in the door. And of course, to your point, the key isn't even in there. I actually had that happen recently where I accidentally walked off with a key because I was so distracted. Fortunately, there was a showing like minutes after mine and I got a phone call and I just went right back. And
It happens.
but sometimes they disappear and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
But getting that key back in the lockbox is so important, guys, as you know, because someone else is going to be looking at that home sometime soon and they need to be able to get in. So that's one thing. The second thing is the lights, right? The lights, the closet doors. How did we find that property, right, Michelle?
Yeah, when you walk into a property, if lights are off, turn the lights off. If the doors are closed, close the doors. And of course, lock everything before you leave.
Yeah.
I mean, like we were talking, before you leave that house, you have to make sure that everything is exactly as it was when you got there. And again,
Yep. I'm big on that too. When we're touring, sometimes there's notes, by the way, that say leave this light on or leave all these lights on or whatever. And of course, pay attention to those notes, especially if you're a newer agent. Always pay attention to that stuff. Sellers like their homes a certain way. Nobody wants their homes being touched more than it needs to be touched by strangers. When I'm touring homes, especially if it's a nasty day and we walk out in the backyard and then we walk back in, if we accidentally kind of get a couple of leaves stuck to our shoes, I always go out of my way to make sure to pick those leaves up, throw them back outside. Yeah. I'll even grab a paper towel. I'm sure you've done the same. And if it's a little couple, I'll call them paw prints, right? Paw print. Well, I am Papa Bear, right? A couple of paw prints on the floor. Oh, clean it up, right? Just think about it as if it's your home, right? So that's the second thing. Third thing is, what do we do when we have children with us? A lot of our clients have young children, right? It's an exciting time of life. What's a best practice when we have young children in tow when we're touring homes? What do you think?
To me, I ask, hold their hand. That's the best thing. If they're jumping on the beds, we kind of have to corral and make sure the beds are put back. If they're jumping on the furniture, fix the pillows. Yeah. I know we're not babysitters, but it's still the respect of the home.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, every family's going to have different dynamics. We know that. Every child's going to have different behavior at different times of the day. We're parents. We understand that.
Yeah.
But remember, we're touring other people's homes. So real important, obviously, holding young children by the hand is always super important, especially if there's a lot of stuff in the house, especially if there's a lot of knickknacks, especially if there's kids' rooms that are set up with lots of toys, right?
Yeah, I can love that.
Yeah, kids can get really excited about that and want to know if those toys are coming with the house if mom and daddy buy it. So, again, being respectful of the property. So that was the third thing. The fourth thing that we have has to do with our time frames, right? When we make an appointment to tour a house to help you as a buyer, there are time slots that we sign up for, right? And why are time slots so important, Michelle?
We're not the only agent that's showing that particular house. Plus, if the sellers are outside walking their dog because you're inside, and again, it's just respectful. So if you're going to be earlier, don't be that earlier. Let the agent know. And if you're going to be late, let them know.
Yep. Yeah, time is really important. If we have a time slot and I'm scheduled to show a home between 1 and 2 o'clock, and that means I can show up, or we can show up anytime between 1 and 2, and that's what would be expected. Mm-hmm. If I'm noticing that I'm going to be running late because of previous showing and traffic or whatever, I'm going to make sure that I reach out to our appointment center or the appointment center servicing that property and adjust that time accordingly, because it wouldn't be fair to a seller for me to show up at 2:30 if my time window is 1 to 2, right? It also wouldn't necessarily be fair to other agents who have scheduled their appointments accordingly. If that makes sense.
Correct. Right? Sometimes there's an overlap.
Correct. Yeah. And that varies, guys, right? So there are some listings where there are overlapping showings, and there are some listings where they don't allow overlapping showings. Right. And every agent's going to have their little preferences about how they handle that. And, so that's a real important piece. So that's the fourth thing about respecting property. Now the fifth thing.
Not sure I want to hear this one again.
Here's a question. If we're touring a house, is it okay to use the bathroom?
I'm going to say yes, but, and I'll put a big but on this. Again, it goes with respecting and being the agent to check the home. You need to check the bathroom if somebody used it.
Yeah. So look, we are all humans, right? There are going to be times where there may not be much of a choice. There's no Wawa nearby, right? It's not easy to get to a bathroom for different reasons, and there's no judging here at all. So I could say, the respect piece is huge. Several years ago, we had a listing on the team, and it was a pretty high-end listing. And I got a phone call after a showing. The seller called me after a showing and was distraught that apparently there was a showing, moments before, or, within that hour or so before. And whoever showed that property, someone in that group had used one of the bathrooms and destroyed it, in the seller's words.
It's horrible.
Like literally just destroyed the bathroom. So use your imagination what that conjures up for you. Toilet stuffed up.
Toilet stuff.
Towels used for things towels shouldn't be used for. Just absolutely distraught about that. So I, of course, reached out to the buyer's agent immediately and said, hey, do you know about this? And the buyer's agent, profusely apologized. A larger home, never double checked the bathroom after somebody used it, and sent a plumber right over and had everything taken care of. But look, nature calls. I get it. Something could go wrong. Maybe someone wasn't feeling well. I don't know, right? I don't know. But if there's no other way, and there's just no other way, it's unavoidable. Please, always, be super respectful of other people's property.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Yeah, exactly. I try to avoid it at all costs, but occasionally it can't be avoided, right? You're out all day, and it just depends, right? So we'll always do our best to respect property, right? Yeah. All right, cool. So that's 5 little tips about respecting property from an agent's perspective, from a buyer's perspective, and from experienced agents' perspectives, right?
It helps.
Yeah, it does. So there we go. That's a wrap. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Please take a moment and like this video, subscribe to our channel. It really helps us. Have an awesome day.
Thanks.